That was House Speaker John Boehner announcing that he plans to step down from his role and actually resign as a member of Congress, a decision that initially he says it was going to be made 2014, but he stayed the course in part because of the election defeat of Eric Cantor. But a lot of people really wondering what the heck is going on here, because the timing is really suspicious. Obviously, this is coming one day after the Pope's historic visit to Congress. We saw that John Boehner, who, by the way, many say worked on that for almost 2 decades, we saw visibly and touched him. But there are a lot of other things, too, that have been in place. A lot of pressure on John Boehner, particularly with dissidents within his party who have been pushing over and over and over again for him to take a stronger position. And perhaps on the next showdown, he didn't want to be around for. And that we're talking about maybe shutting down the White House over Planned Parenthood. Still with me, we've got the panel, Congressman Lee Zeldin, Deneen Borelli, Fox News contributor, Christian Whiten, former Bush State Department Senior Advisor, Jillian Melcher is on the set as well. And I'll go to you, Representative Zeldin, because now that we've had a few hours to digest this move, a lot of people are saying who won, who lost. And what does it mean for the Republican Party? Because it feels even more at this moment like a rudderless ship.
Well, I'm sure that we are going to be electing new leadership. There's an opportunity for the party to be stronger, to be more unified, to be able to have a more unified front and standing up to some of the policies of this president that, in my opinion, is taking our country in the wrong direction. I was at the Republican conference this morning. It was a surprise announcement. The response was pretty emotional, especially amongst those of his colleagues who he served with for a really long time.
Emotional in the sense that people were sad to see him go, or just shocked, or was there, because we saw when it was announced at the one of the summits, Social Conservative Summit, where there was a wow applause, a standing ovation. These are core Republican voters who cheered for joy that he was leaving. So what was the emotion amongst his colleagues? Were there some visibly happy that he was leaving, or was it just a period to sort of console him and say, okay, great job, and now let's move on?
Well, I mean, everybody was very respectful. I mean, he's had a career that he's now in his 13th term. There might be some people who were happier on the inside. No one was really, obnoxiously celebrating out loud. I would say that for those who were getting up to the mic, very personal stories, some that might be 10, 20 plus years ago, where grown men and grown women were crying and reflecting for this speaker who he's leaving on a political end with the largest House majority since the 1920s. And also, yesterday is probably going to be one of the highlights of his career, being able to bring Pope Francis to a joint session of Congress. Right. There are so many different aspects at play here.
And yet, with that majority that you speak of, and yet with the decisive victory in the midterm election, Christian Whiten, a lot of core Republican voters are saying, we dealt you the power, you had it, you squandered it, you did not stop or even attempt to stop any of President Obama's agenda.
That's right. If you look at Boehner's career, 13 terms in Congress, he's held the Speaker's gavel since 2010, or at least January of 2011. He's accomplished essentially nothing. He has held the office. And if we're now saying his greatest accomplishment is getting the Pope to come and speak, which really I have to think almost any speaker could have gotten done, I mean, that's just pathetic. And, Republicans need to really straighten up and fly right. And it shouldn't just end here. Mitch McConnell really needs to go as Senate Majority Leader if Republicans want to hold the Senate. It's as simple as that. The Republicans, the establishment, the leadership always assumes that conservatives are going to show up and vote and be energetic. But a lot of people, frankly, were told, first get us the House so we can turn this around on Obamacare. And it was somewhat understandable that Boehner couldn't do that alone with only the House. But now Republicans have both houses, 56 votes. Go back to when the foot was on the when the shoe was on the other foot, when we had Bush 41, a Republican president, Democratic Congress. That Congress was able to send up bill after bill after bill to make him look bad. He had to veto a bunch of stuff. It helped cost him the election. Republicans haven't done that. George Mitchell, the Democrat, never had 60 votes. It's really an ineffective, feckless group, and there has to be more change than this.
And to that point, a lot of people were upset with the idea that John Boehner was worried about the old school, don't rock the boat, kind of sort of establishment thing where when it's over with, your colleagues on both sides of the aisle come pat you on the back and cry because you're leaving. And there's a new breed of voter out there that says, you know what, this is something that's too important. So, he clashed with his own base, no matter what the issues were sometimes, whether it was debt limits, Obamacare, taxes, but a lot of it was how to go about his style.